Finally, today we get to rip the top off the RV. Before we get into all that though, let's cover all the who, what, when, where, whys for the newbies to the channel. So the who is me, Anthony Bronner, and you're watching the Hardcore Fab YouTube channel. The what is a Southwind by Fleetwood. It is, I don't know what size RV, pretty good size RV, but it's sitting on a P30 chassis, so Chevrolet chassis, and it's got a big block Chevy in it with a 400 turbo trans and some other goodies that we're going to need for our next build. Let's skip to the why now, and that is because we need the chassis and drivetrain out from underneath this thing for our next build, and I'll throw you guys a picture of that up right now. This is the dream and the vision that we're going to try to make out of this old turd right here. And now for the when and where. This is going to be our entry to the build off for the Rat Rod Magazine 2024 build off. And that is going to start at this point right now, today, February, first day of February, second day of February, whatever it is. And we are going to have this thing done by, I think, September 21st. And that is Rat Stock. And Rat Stock is located in Langley, Illinois. So we're going to be driving this thing from Kansas to Langley, Illinois, all the way up there for Rat Stock. And the other caveat to this build is we've got to do the whole thing for under $5,000, which is why we're starting off with this $25 turd. Now, just like Hookers and Blow, Old Crow, Jeep Rod, all the other builds that we've done here on the channel, we are going to make a playlist for this entire build as well. And I think this video is going to be the beginning of that playlist, since this is the one where we're actually starting to get some work done. So, having that said, I want to recap exactly what we did to get to this point, and then we're going to go have some fun with tearing this thing apart. So, like I said, I gave $25 for this turd, and it came from an insurance auto auction, IAA auction. See their sticker still on it here, and it was actually salvaged from State Farm Insurance. 1984 Chevy P30 is what they're calling it. Yeah, so I gave $25 for it. Now I'm actually in it for more than $25 because they've got some crazy fees over there on their stuff. So I'll look that up, and I also have bought some pipes that we're going to be using on this thing as well. So at the end of the video, I'll get you an exact total of where we're at, and from here on out, anytime I do anything that actually costs us money out of my pocket to be able to do the build, we're going to total all that up at the end of every video. So yeah, even though this thing was salvaged, it wasn't as rough as it looks right now. Right now it's looking really, really bad. Later it's going to look worse. But anyways, the window over here was knocked out of it. It had a hole in the roof. Everything in it was in shambles inside of it. So I don't know what exactly happened to it or anything like that. Yeah, it wasn't in a running condition either. I think there's a bunch of wiring stuff that's in it that's messed up as well. So to get it back from Wichita to Hutchinson, which is about 45 miles or so from where it's at to where we're at, I end up having my buddy Nelson give us a hand with towing it. And he said that was probably one of the scariest things that he's ever done. And he's the one that actually has the Razor buggy that we built here on the channel. So, you know, he's used to bouncing up the side of mountains and flipping down backwards and having all kinds of good fun like that. And he said driving this piece of junk with the chain pulling it behind my pickup was one of the scariest things he's ever done. So I got to give him a shout out again for that. Thanks again for helping me get this over here, Nelson. Really appreciate it. So we didn't have any expense there on that really to speak of. So no hauling fees or anything as far as that goes. So, and I had to go over there to do some other stuff anyways. So fuel and all that stuff really doesn't come into play. So anyways, we got that. We got it back over here. It's been sitting out at the farm for quite a while. We went out there, we got the thing fired right up. Not fired right up. We went out there and we got the thing fired up. Connor crawled underneath there and rigged some wiring up to the starter, and we were able to get the thing to start. We only ran it for just a split second here, but enough to know that it does run, and so we do have something to work with here.
Whoa, look at that!
Hopefully we'll be able to do some more testing with that and whatnot here once we get the cab back, or get a cab on it. So that's kind of my plan with it anyways, and then we'll see what we've got really for a motor at that point. But before we get to that point, we got to get all this garbage off of here. So what we've done is we've stripped off anything that we thought was any good. So there was an awning on this side, we pulled that off. There, right back there was a big generator, we pulled that out of there. There was a bed thing that was up above the seats right here in the front that just kind of hinged down, scissored down, however you want to say it. So there was an extra bed up there. We saved that piece for in case we wanted to do a build for, or a bed for one of our buses that we have. So that might come in handy for one of those. And we saved some swivel base things for some seats. But that's about all we really saved off the thing, other than the fact that we're going to save, the motor and training, drivetrain. I'm hoping we save the radiator. I'm hoping we'll be able to use the brake booster and all that stuff too. So there is a few other things here that we'll ought to be able to use. So yeah, besides that though, you can see, get you over here. Connor's got this thing pretty well stripped out now, like I said, and he went ahead and cut this right here with Sawzall, and then we've clipped it right up there too at the windshield, and hopefully that'll allow us to take all of this right here off here later today. And then I'll go over here and show you this other side real quick too. He went ahead and cut it all the way through the floor, and then right down through where like the little doghouse area is for the motor, and right back down and out this other side. And this side had the door, so it's kind of all janky there in the door jamb. You can tell how well this thing is built at that point. But yeah, there with the cut right here, I think this whole top and everything should come off fairly decent at this point. And then that'll just leave us this area here in the front to get off, a little bit by hand, Sawzall, whatever. And then we can take and tackle that to where we don't have to worry about tearing up the radiator and motor and stuff like that when we're doing it. We can be a little bit more careful with that part of it. So enough talking, let's get something happening here. I'm excited to try to rip this thing up. It's gonna be fun. So I don't want to do it here because I don't want to make a big mess right here, right where, just be right in the middle of everything. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to haul this thing just a couple of blocks away, and there's a facility over there that is going to be perfect for us to tear it apart at, and it'll be real easy to clean up and all that over there. So I got the old trusty Chevy out. I'm going to try moving the Prius here. Not try, we'll move the Prius, guaranteed. And then I'm going to try to hook onto the camper, and we'll see if the old Chevy can haul that big old thing just a few blocks. But I think we'll make it, hopefully. Well, we made it over here, barely, but we made it, so that's all that matters. Got Connor pulling up here with the dually here in a second, and we're gonna tie this thing up and see what it'll do, if the tripod will stand up here. So rather than taking all the time and trouble of messing with sawzalls and all that kind of stuff, I think a chainsaw would actually be better. That's kind of what I'm thinking. Get Connor on the other side here, catch the chain. We got one through the door. That looked like the easiest place to go through, and then we'll try to take the rest of it off with another pull. All the way to the center.
chain broke again.
I thought it used to be good.
What happened?
Broken chain. I don't know. Broke right there.
Should have got the strap, and now we're gonna have to listen to everybody on YouTube tell us how the chain's gonna kill us, and we shouldn't have done that because we probably shouldn't have.
I can run go get a strap. We're not that far from the shop. Do you want me to go get a strap?
No, it's at the house.
Oh.
That's why I didn't go get it.
Oh.
This part of the chain's good.
Yeah.
It's this last little foot.
Well, we can get rid of, just pull this piece off.
Yeah.
And then put the hook back on right on that directly. Where's the other end of the hook? Is right there. Let's set up there.
We're about there.
Everybody's crashing. I kind of got a small thing going.
All right.
That one's a buck. That one over there is a buddy of mine. The
Okay.
sons are sitting next to it.
One more time.
I have faith now. It looks like it's a strong one.
Trucks going this way.
Opposite direction.
Two
You probably
semis
just
going
drag
up.
all of us.
Low hole going both ways.
Oh, give it a shot.
You probably just drag all of us.
Put us in. Here you go. See what happens.
I'll try one more time here real quick and see if we break the chain again.
And then we'll be a plan B.
And then we'll go to plan C or D or whatever we're at.
I'm not gonna lie, this is one of those guys' activities. And guys get together and decide to do dumb stuff. And somehow I'm out here. What are you gonna say? What are we doing?
How about with Bobcat?
How about it with Bobcat?
Yep.
Have fun tearing shit out of it.
Hey, Gary. Gary.
I concede. Can't do it. It is what it is. We tried.
I wanted to tie it to a tree and pull, but you're saying the ground is too muddy and the traction and the torque is not there?
Yeah, and we don't really have a good enough chain or anything, so it's just
It's just
a lot
not
stronger than I thought it would be. I figured it was just
a house of cards.
Fiberglass and plywood and stuff, so I figured it wouldn't be that big of a deal, but it's actually fairly strong. So
We learned a lesson today.
we learned a lesson today.
Whistling diesel makes it look so easy.
It's got a bigger budget than we do.
You hook this chain on there, or pull the chain out of there? Or
Oh, well, you did some damage.
hook that on and carry it out, or you hook it under.
Did somebody pull on that side already?
When at first you don't succeed.
Well, we made it over to the big building and we went to go try to stick this thing in the shop, and it's a little bit too long to fit in there right now. So Connor is actually going to come back here and cut the back of this thing off. I'm going to flip the camera around and give you guys a little better look at what we got here to deal with, and there's a couple of things that we found that was kind of interesting, so I'll show you that real quick. So it's surprising how much iron was actually in this thing. This had the square tubing all the way through it and all the way up and around and over. And that's the main reason why we was having so much of a hard time trying to rip that thing off with a chain. We were trying to cut square tubing. It really worked so well. So we've got a few pieces of that still left on there, but we'll be able to get that off, no problem. We do have some airbags on here, although I doubt that we'll be able to use them, but they are still on there. I don't see an air tank anywhere, so that kind of sucks. I was kind of hoping that we would find an air tank somewhere. Here's a better shot of our transmission. It's got one of those driveline brakes on it. And check out the sway bar. Is this some beef back here on that sway bar or what? That is huge. Here, that is a huge, huge sway bar. Anyways, let's talk about huge. Check out this tank. So this whole thing here, from there all the way over there, is the fuel tank on this thing. It is giant. I don't know how many gallons that is. It's got to be at least 100, I would think. But there is, however, a cool little Holley fuel pump on here. So I was excited to see that. And then this cool little filter setup on here too. So that might come in handy on something. So Connor's back here, he's cutting off this last little bit of the frame here. We're not going to use that anyways, no matter what we do, so it's not a big deal to cut that off. And that's going to end up giving us at least, probably 3.5 foot or so, something like that, that we'll have extra. Hey, you're catching that wiring on fire.
Oh, yeah.
Not a big deal, but just point the torch the other way. So we'll come around here to the other side. There's another shot of that fuel tank. Connor could easily lay down inside that fuel tank. We've got some copper pipe on here left over from the stove, but that goes down here to where the propane tank was at. Got a little wild with the propane tank. It kind of popped up out of there and pulled some of the other floor out, but it's still on there, and we'll have to get that all cut off of there here pretty quick. So even though we cut that through the floor there to try to get some of that other floor there off, we went ahead and decided that that was good enough for now with the grapple on the skid loader. So we'll end up taking all the rest of the stuff on the front here off by hand. But this has saved a world of time and energy right here to get all of that gone now. So it's only been a couple hours or so, something like that, since we left the other shop and moved down to this point. Might end up with a whole nother day in it by the time we all get all that off and salvage everything else off of it that we're going to use, but looking pretty good so far. Now to see if this thing will fit inside, I guess. Well, we did get it in the building, and we made it right before it started doing torrential rains, and it has rained now all weekend. So that was Friday that you guys last seen us. Today's Monday. We're getting back onto this thing. We're going to go ahead and try to get this thing all stripped out here. Got it kind of halfway pushed out the door because it literally fit from the door all the way over here to the Yukon. That's pretty much where it was at. So not a lot of room left to work. So kind of got it pushed out there a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and get started cutting some of this stuff off here. Connor will be here in a minute, and I'm hoping we'll get the better part of this, if not all of this, off here today and have a clean frame. Well, we're getting really close. Just got really this area around the dash left to get off of here. This is where we've got to be the most careful so we can save some of the stuff that we're wanting to try to reuse. There's still a lot of good stuff up here to reuse. I mean, got a good electric fan. We got some overflow tanks. I'm not even 100% sure after kind of looking at it some more. This might be the overflow for the, or just the reservoir for the brakes. Kind of hard to tell. I don't know where some of this stuff is going yet, but it's real close to being off of there. So we're going to go ahead and unbolt a little bit of stuff here, try to take our time with what's left here and get to where we can get this last piece off. So yeah, that piece really doesn't fit in the dumpster, and this piece over here on this side is a little bit more of a pain in the rear because we have the steering and the brakes going through there. I was going to try to stave the steering column. Probably don't need it. Probably use the one out of the other truck, but I was going to save it just because, and maybe the brake pedal and stuff like that too, which I think I'm just going to cut that rod on the brake pedal, and then it should go through the floor. We'll still have the pedal. I'll probably just have to throw this piece off to the side because it's not going to fit in our dumpster, and they just dumped our dumpster, so it's probably going to sit here for a month until our dumpster gets dumped again. So we will have that piece just in case we need it. Check this out too. I want to show you down underneath here where the brake master cylinder is at. So keep in mind that, you know, all of this was still here originally. Down here, right there, is where you fill up the brake master cylinder. That is just crazy. There's one little door, I guess, right through here that I guess you could technically get to it, but that's behind the tire, and that's behind all of the body that would have been here originally. Really would suck to have to get in there and fill that, especially if you were on the road. It's crazy that they didn't put some kind of little trap door here to be able to get in there to work on that. So after seeing we did have that around there on the other side, that has to be the power steering that Connor's taking loose there. So we need that, so he's taking that loose now. But now here is really kind of our first look at our motor. Bud Light and all. Hey, there's CDs in there. Damn it. Anyways, back to our motor. Yeah, just pretty much what you'd expect to see, I guess. I was kind of hoping to maybe see an air compressor on this motor. I don't think there is one. I kind of looked in there already. Pretty sure it was in the body, and probably there was an air tank in there as well that probably got ripped off with the skid loader. So small price to pay for not having to put all the effort into tearing the rest of this off there, though. So I'm okay with that. Do what? Hose is hard? Yeah, probably hadn't been messed with since 1984.
Probably.
This radiator, look at this thing, man. This would have been a total nightmare to have to change. If you had to change that with all the body around this, I can't even imagine. That would really suck. Well, finally, we got that big mess of garbage off the front of this thing, and we now have a bare frame. How about that? Now, we've cut a bunch off. How much did we cut off of this thing? You remember?
About 10 or 11 feet.
10 or 11 feet that we've taken off of it, and it is still huge. Let's get a measurement of what the whole thing measures out now.
About 20 foot, 9 inches.
20 foot, 9 inches. So this thing was a 30-foot camper then, apparently.
Yeah.
Or 32 or something like that. Oh, let's do the wheelbase real quick, too. Let's see what the wheelbase is. Give or take.
About 15 foot. It's pretty close.
15 even.
Maybe just a little over.
So we still got plenty of frame, even though we've cut 10 or 11 feet off of it. And we still have plenty of wheelbase right now for a sleeper and a cab and everything to go on there. Now, how tall is that sitting from the ground? From like the bottom of the frame to the ground? So this thing is high. It's way, way up there now.
It's about 22, 21 and a half.
This is 21, 22 and a half. I'm going to say the step that hangs off the bottom of the C50, what is that? Probably a foot?
Yeah, about a foot.
About a foot. So we might get there. This thing is really, really tall. It's way up there. So we'll have to see how everything plays out. I was hoping to shoot for around like the 4 inches or so off the ground, since it was going to have such a long wheelbase. So we'd have plenty of clearance on everything and not have to worry about anything getting caught up while we're driving. So yeah, it's going to be close. We'll be able to pull the spring and all that stuff out of the front there. There's a little airbag helper spring thing in the coil spring up front. We'll go ahead and take all that stuff out. We'll put a regular bag in there, and that should let us down pretty good ways in the front. And then in the back, I plan on taking all the springs out of the back and just doing some trailing arms and some airbags back there. So hopefully we'll be doing good. We'll have to do some more measuring real quick on the C50 now and see exactly kind of where we're at. But I think for today, we're going to be probably about out of time. So I guess we'll holler at you guys next Wednesday at 7.
Hold up. One more thing before you go. Anthony is wanting to keep a running total of where we are with this thing, since it's a $5,000 build budget. As he said, on the motorhome, we paid $25 for that. Of course, Insurance Auto Auction does have buyer's fees. So by the time it was all said and done, we were out of there. It was actually $105. And then also just recently, we went out to see Taylor with Gert's Ratworks, and we picked up this set of pipes. We paid $50 a piece for those. If you haven't seen that video yet, I'll put a link to that here. Also, we still don't have a name for it. So if you guys are still thinking of names, throw them out there. A lot of guys are going with the red theme, and we're not 100% certain that it's going to be red just yet. We've been playing around with some other paint ideas. So anyway, give us some name ideas, and thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.